In this video, we're going to go over what happens when the love is lost. You got all excited, all salivated. You are activated because you had what was equivalent to an OBE, an astral projection, and it's gone. Through this video, we're going to go into and unlock what is necessary for you to get it back, because most people get so excited that from a vibratory effect to an actual OBE has taken them to such an extreme that it zaps their body's energy and ability to replicate that. And then they just spend months, if not years, attempting to try and get back to that state, but to no avail. Hi, my name is San Qing. I have been leaving my body for the better part of 45 years as a teacher of internal alchemy, which is an extension of what we call Nigong. This is what I do, and I share these techniques, these ancient techniques, with others so they can do it collectively and with a consensus that is clear-cut. We refer to this as Shen Gong. You'll know it as OBE, out-of-body projection, astral projection. There are other forms and ways to attempt to replicate it. You're here because you had it once, you got a taste, you got what we call the bite of the spiritual dragon, and you haven't been able to replicate it. There are many different factors as to why, but first and foremost, stop listening to other people's bullshit. There is a level of understanding that comes with, it's all conditioning, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies. So if you want to learn that this is a conditioned state that can be met by anyone who has a nervous system and has the traits of a human being, i.e., for example, yourself, then stay tuned on this podcast. If you're an alien, hit stop and jump off onto something else. So today is the day that you get to level up. Most people find this sobering reality. You get a consensus. There's a theme, right? Everyone says there's a construct. This is a prison planet. You can go for variables on that. There's a soul contract. These are all subjective to your own desires. If you have met any of these things with resistance, or you haven't been able to find that within your own exploration of your out-of-body experience, it's because that is not your flavor. And guess what? It's okay to not have that as your flavor. Your flavor is your flavor. My flavor is my flavor. Let's not get twisted by it, ladies and gentlemen. So when you are experiencing these things and you trigger a vibrational shift, which is normally the first traits of evidence that you are about to pop off into another state, and the experience is furthermore a first person, third person, no person experience, this is where you become mastered. First person, you're experiencing something that is potentially subjective. Third person, you are now entering into a state where you believe through your own visceral, somatic, kinesthetic experience, a vision that can see things outside of your own physical body. You're off to the races. Now, the subjective part is you get a taste, you hear the stories, you hear the near-death experiences, all these things come up, and then you go exploring. And then you start getting theories of versions of what that experience is supposed to be, and you're met with disappointment because you haven't been able to conjure it up yourself, but you want your own personal experience. We all want our own personal experience. And this is why this video is being made today, to help you get insight, because you are not in the wrong place if you are not able to replicate it. Stop with the feeding of other people's version of reality. Your absolute is the only absolute you need to be concerned with, not mine, not my incredibly beautiful co-host, Jade. It all has to do with your own experience. So if you're not meeting the consensus of a prison planet, of a soul contract, etc., yada, 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 you're in the right place, because we're about to condition you to have your own pop-off that will be consistent and repeatable. And that's why we use ancient practices that have been around for thousands of years. You do not have to be religious in your mindset. You do not have to be theorized in your mindset. You do not have to be idolized in your mindset. All of these things are just a different conditioning level for you to have the experience as an experiencer.
So for a lot of people who maybe aren't super familiar, how would you define an OBE experience, out of body experience? And how does someone know if that's what they had? I think a lot of people are unsure how to even go, oh, I had this crazy experience. I didn't even know that's what it was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, it's interesting. Childlike in your nature is really a consensus. So, you know, you have phases of like trance-like states throughout your day where you have literally gaps of space and time that just disappear, whether you're jumping in your car, going for a drive, going to work, counting the seconds or minutes at work, preferably attempting to wipe them away so you can quickly get from the beginning of your shift to the end of your shift and get out of the shit. And so, you know, you'll notice that these things take place. More commonly, more evidence of this is when you take on something that can make you more focal in your line of vision, line of attention, because this all has to do with attention and intention, right? So if you have a cell phone, a laptop, you watch TV, these are all conditioning effects that you're starting to get yourself in line with an attention and intention. This is what we refer to as Shengong, right? So when you put your attention and intention at one focus point, you merge the two hemispheres of the brain, and this is where most of the OBEers are talking about synchronization, so that you merge the collective, the conscious and unconscious, giving you entree to start shifting your brainwave state, right? So when you wake up in the morning, your brainwave state from the sunshine through your retinas into a chemical fun factory that produces serotonin. That's the wake-up call for your day. This is the baseline chemistry that is necessary for you to be active. You then produce what we call a brainwave state of a beta brainwave. And that beta brainwave is just being alert and attentive to the present moment. Now, what happens is most people use other additives, such as stimulus, caffeine, sugar, food. All these things can amplify that state of attention, so that you become extremely myopic, over-focusing on one thing, and this will give you traits of anxiety, fear, other emotional states. And then, of course, you're now mirroring the effects of the human experience from the planet Earth, which is transmitting these energies all the time, which is normally about a 7.8 or 8 hertz frequency. Now, if you fall into that, that would be equivalent to almost what would be a theta state. So the brain wave can take you now into alpha. And alpha is the state where most people want to be meditative. So you want to meditate, if you've ever heard of meditation before. Meditation gets you into a more relaxed state, so you drop down your senses, the 5 senses that give you data and information that make you respond to your experience. This will slow down, and then you will start to exhibit a more relaxed state. Then this is what's more common, because it's a phase of awareness. You end up in what we call lucidity. And lucidity is a sort of an alpha, theta, delta state. Now, delta would be, in many terms, 2 hertz, 4 hertz or below. and this is almost equivalent to being asleep because that's how you would measure it. But quite frankly, when you start mastering your energy, you can be quite lucid as you just fall asleep at night. So most of the phases for people that want to start OBE experiences starts with driving down the brain wave from a high beta to a alpha, theta, and between theta and delta is this sweet spot where this lucidity awakes and you feel like you're almost sedated, but you're alert. And the goal for all OBEers is to go from, I think the chant from a speaking level is body asleep, mind awake. This is a consensus. Now, this is theorized, but actualize it. So, when you understand that everything is a frequency, which I think we're very aware of, guess what? Vibration frequency equals resonance. And you hold that resonance, then you can acquire this state quite easily. This is the conditioning. So when you want to do something that is more abrupt, like an out-of-body experience, astral projection, you need to work into the system that you already have an ability to drop into that state of awareness.
And like what would someone feel as a difference between like daydreaming or dreaming versus like an OBE where you're fully, you have that moment where you go, okay, this is, I mean, we can talk about it all we want, but until you have that moment and it turns into a reality, how does someone realize or come to that and go, this is it. This is where I want to be.
Right. Great point. The answer to that question is you want to start simulating and priming the body for this type of environment. There's many different ways to get there, but first and foremost, you want to start activating it from a neurology level and then deconstruct it right back to the core of how these things are actualized, from the chemical DMT that is naturally produced in certain events that take place within your experience. Most commonly, hyper levels of DMT are produced in near-death experiences, and of course when people transition from their living state to their physically dead state, they will amplify the amount of DMT, and this is where you're able to experience these high levels of vivid experiences. That's where most people will go into that state and sleep and experience something that is extremely vivid. That's where lucid dreaming, lucidity in of itself, is so attractive, because you're stepping outside of what is your conscious mind as, run-of-the-mill day-to-day. I wake up, I look around, this is my mundane reality from a first-person perspective.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that's why people are so attracted to like DMT experiences, plant medicine, different types of altered states, is they're going past what they can perceive as conscious and into that kind of unconscious out of body experience where they get it. So for the average listener going, okay, how do I start? From what I'm getting and relaying it back, is you want to lower your stimulants, get into a very relaxed meditative state, and start to train your body to produce its own DMT at will.
Right. And that's a conditioning. But furthermore, you want to experience this lucidity and where you are out of what you perceive as your physical body. So that takes the merging of conscious and unconscious. This is where syncing these two phenomena becomes a dominion of the operating system, right? So let's get back to the basics of understanding the brain waves. And more commonly, this is where people use hemisync, neurofeedback, other things that are synchronizing the brain waves. Now, most people, if you're listening to this, you've tried the hemisync, you've tried binary beats that are literally having zero to no effect on you. Okay, this is your world and you live in it. This is where you need to recognize that it may be a square peg and you're a round hole. We can change what the chemistry is so that it works efficiently for you, and it all comes down to a system. So when you're looking at brain waves, you get up, you produce serotonin, the brain wave is a beta brain wave, highly alert. Then you go through the course of the day naturally through the circadian rhythm of the earth, you downgrade your brain waves, and collectively by between 8 and 10 o'clock, you're producing higher levels of melatonin. And this is only one molecule away from DMT, just so you know, ladies and gentlemen. So how do we ascertain the availability of that DMT, knowing that there are other theorized versions where you can amplify DMT through different organs in your body? The heightened alert, we use thalamus, pituitary, and pineal gland. We call it the alchemical fun factory within the Taoist alchemist processes. We synergize these three organs within the body, these three components, and we elevate the conscious awareness so that the body will start producing it more, and this is where you're able to experience the out-of-body experience. We refer to it as soul projection, more commonly astral projection. These are things that normally have to be scared into you. That's why people talk about near-death experiences, sleep paralysis. These are all variables of the same thing, yet without conditioning, they're a one-off. You're listening to this because you've had it once. Maybe you experienced a little vibration and it never amounted to anything because of your apprehension and fear of what the body is going to do, because this is always the jump-off point. The starting point is we will get the physical body synchronized because it is a tuning fork. It amplifies in reflection to what is coming externally to internally and vice versa, internally to externally. So you're able to prime it and set it up through respiration. This is the key. Now, breathing is the absolute gateway to owning this experience. And I need you guys to understand that you've probably had hiccups or jumped into an out-of-body experience because of your respiration. Most people that experience things like sleep apnea, sleep paralysis, these are all variables of the respiration that evoke a vibratory shift within the body, and that body then will respond, and you will literally feel as though it's working independently of you. And this is where most people who are listening to this have had that very experience, and they hit it once, but they weren't able to replicate it. And this is where the love is lost for most people. They get it once, they get it twice, and then they're forever chasing it. And most of the story you're going to hear from most of the people, the talking heads within this space will say, well, now I just kind of do it less. I do it maybe once a week or once a month because it's so taxing on the nervous system. It's so taxing on the physical body. I hate to break it to you, but that's a falsehood and a straight up lie. Because once you saturate the body energetically, you will never be in lack of any stream of energy. Because the electromagnetism is the very substance that you play with in this consciousness, right? What we call duality is the symbiotic dance for Taoism. It comes from one stream. Yin and yang yin is the inversion of all colors, yang is the emission of all colors. And when you join the two again, this is where you get the pop off, and that comes from the gateway of the breath. When you enter the breath, between the breath in and the breath out, you start to accumulate and saturate the body with this very substance. And from that, then you can evoke your spirit to go walking anywhere you want it to, because that's really what's going on. But there must be a conditioned path, just like you're walking. Say, for example, you have a trail that you like to walk on, whether it's in a park or in your backyard. If you continue to walk on that trail, it becomes more and more defined and detailed, and the separation of the grass or the dirt, you will see that it's a constant. It's like driving behind someone on a rainy day. When the rain hits the road, it breaks all the soil and everything up. And when you're driving on it, you want to stick behind that person that's driving in front of you, so that you are creating a path that doesn't become anything more than clear. Whereas when you are not practicing something consistently, you'll get these erratic experiences. This is what we call spiritual bite of the spiritual dragon. You get a little taste, you get a taste of it, but you can't replicate it because there's no understanding of how you got there in the first place.
Is there a difference between near-death experience and out-of-body?
Well, yeah, it's just how you got there. An out-of-body is a conscious evocation of an astral projection, a spirit projection, a Shen experience, which is called spirit power. Whereas an NDE is an involuntary wake the fuck up moment where you don't have a choice. Mm-hmm. You are being shocked into it. It's like an electric shock that evokes the spirit to exit the body. Now, I think the biggest delusion that most people are talking about is where, and this is again a conditioning, guys, understand this. You keep hearing these stories and you're frustrated. That's why you're here, because I'm not having the soul contract. I had one experience randomly where I felt like the body was vibrating, and I just got to that threshold, and either my attention or my fear limited my ability to move and phase to the next level. This is very common. This happens quite often. What's most important is finding that clear path, that trail that you can to imprint that path so it's repeatable. Okay? So a near-death experience is an involuntary experience. The most important thing is the substance you're playing with is electromagnetism. Mm. And the biggest delusion is when people say, because the heart is magnetic, it stores the soul, the spirit, and you're not capable of being able to liberate the spirit from the body unless you shut down the physical senses, the physicality, the biology. This is a straight up lie. Yet, understand this is how most cults are built, right? The cult leader has a vision, and the more and more he has people that are consent with his theology, you will get a groupthink that will collectively feel and see and experience the same way. So you will hear these cults that say this is the only way out. You must dampen the physical body, reduce the biology to evoke the spirit by desensitizing the magnetism. It's a fundamental lie. I mean, again, the reason you're here is because you didn't buy the bullshit. There's only one way. There's a million ways up the mountain. Understand that it has to be experienced for you to be validated. Like, all the crap in the world doesn't mean anything, but you as an experiencer, your experiential moment is where you rubber meets the road. So all bets are off. Your truth, your absolute truth is only yours. So let's give you more substance, because conditioning from an alchemical process for Taoism is thousands of years. We've been soul projecting for thousands of years. Shen Gong is a fundamental of Taoist alchemy.
Now, you mentioned the respiration, how important the respiration is, and then there's many ways to do it. Does it always have to do with the breathing? There's just different techniques, different breathing practices. Like, Hindu has their own different practices. Ancient Eastern medicine has their own practices. Western medicine has their own kind of breathing practices, but it always comes back to the breath.
Always comes back to the breath. because that's how you liberate. Remember, when you physically entered this space, your activation was your first breath. That's how you turned everything on. All the chemistry was realized with that breath, and respiration is the most ancient gateway. We refer to the primordial mother to evoke that. Oh yeah, baby, you can feel it. This is what we call psychokinesis to my dear friends who are parapsychologists. You are feeling a substance right now because that is exactly the very truth. It's hitting you dead center in the heart, in the eyes. You know this is true. And so, furthermore, you want to do this at will, which I've been conditioned and have been doing for, the better over 45 years. I've been doing it since I was a young boy. And then, of course, I made sense of it through my own paranormal, supernatural experiences and was given a training system so you can condition yourself to repeat it at will. This, in definition, is what we call Nigong. Nigong is internal power. Nidan is the alchemy that evokes the Nigong, which is the internal alchemy. But for someone who just wants to experience or get a taste, this comes back to the simplicity of respiration, and then you're basically bringing all the different resonances that are exhibited in your tuning fork, your physical body, and you're able to collectively open that stream up. Between the yin and yang is the unified state. And when you open that stream, the holy stream, holiness at its highest level, this is the Shen-Gong activation, you will experience an out-of-body experience. So, with the respiration as the most ancient cultivational practice, you must start to condition. So, first and foremost, the simplest way to shut down things to get into that state for most people will be an autonomous state, a supine, a lying position. You start with this. This is the first pop-off. This is how you get down with the get down. I would suggest also other elements that can quickly evoke this state. This is not medical advice. Just consult your doctor if you choose to. But I would suggest that you add things that replicate and remove any sort of amplified states of tension, right? So if you don't want to get too technical, glycine and magnesium are very powerful at evoking a very relaxed state, a sleep-like state, and you start to evoke other things like GABA and other states. And of course, you are entering in a gateway which will start to stimulate your body's own production through the pineal gland. And this is how you have this vivid lucidity. And so chamomile tea, some glycine and magnesium just before you go to sleep will set you off on this alchemical path. And because I've infused this very spoken word, you start with that, you lay down. The autonomous process will basically roll the muscle tension through the additive of this chemistry to evoke that state, and you will start to fall into what we call the Alice in Wonderland effect. This is the lucidity that we speak of, and instantly start to phase down. So if you want to prime yourself, I would suggest that you give yourself at least an hour off any electronic devices to downgrade the light that is being overstimulated within the body. Prep yourself with this ritual. So first and foremost, you can take your supplements and tea before you go to sleep, 20 minutes before, and then you lay down. Automatically, your body will start to roll out and dissolve any tension, which is a key factor, and the mind will settle. And so you lay down, close your eyes, and just start breathing. And I want you to just breathe in a pattern that is an in and out fashion, nothing too complicated because this will feel like this rush of heat. Have you ever sat in sunlight before with your eyes closed and you just feel like this? It's like this warm consensus of complete divine serenity that comes over the physical body. If you sort of sit there or lay in sunlight long enough, you feel this warmth come over your whole body. By me explaining this to you, we're evoking this state within the experience, right? So this is layered within a magical aspect. This is where you're getting more information. By me imbuing this into this conversation, you will be able to evoke it by following instruction. So this warm-like feeling where you just feel super relaxed, and it's like washing over the physical body will start to take effect the second you close your eyes and you're laying down. Now, the key element is from that, we will use this particular foundational effect. I will imbue an incantation right now. Just listen to it and let it take charge of what's necessary, because your attention and intention is going to create the experience. So, go ahead.
No, go. No, please keep going.
Okay, so as you lay down, you've prepped yourself. No effects of any type of stimulus, i.e. electronic devices, for 20 minutes to an hour before you go to sleep. You prepped yourself with a little added sups, some chamomile tea. All these things are priming you for this state. And you will notice that by putting yourself in a conditioned state, you will quickly acquire the ability to activate the lucidity. And the lucidity is where all bets are off. Most people have had lucid dreams or streams of consciousness, but they haven't been able to play in these. This is like a taste where you get the vibratory effects of the body, you get this lucid state where you're having a dream, but you're awake. This is what we talk about with Qigong, multitasking. I'm having a what you would consider technically an out-of-body experience right now. While I'm talking to you, I am experiencing a visceral, kinesthetic, somatic, vivid, tangible. Everything outside of this camera is in rainbow color 8K. And I am I'm walking on the clouds, playing in the rainbow, dancing in the green, dancing in the stardust that is this magical effect, because I'm able to transfer my state of awareness from third person to first person to another person at will. And when I say this, you can feel this tunnel-like effect that's going on with your attention. As you look at me more and more, the attention is becoming more lucid and more visual and more physical. That heat that's running through your body is the evidence of that. You are feeling that because you are instantly tuning into the resonance.
Yeah, and how do you keep yourself in that state but without falling asleep?
Right.
I think that's the big question everyone has, because they've all felt that very ultra relaxed. I'm so relaxed, and then the next minute I know it, it's morning.
Right. I mean, first you have to stop satisfying your petulant childlike state where I need everything now without conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. It's your party and you can cry if you want to. With that, you are creating a rule set which will almost absolutely 1,000,000% give you a diminished return, and you will be pissed off because you're not acquiring or gaining reps in this experience. To gain reps in this experience, you must follow the formula that creates the alchemical response. By using these add-ons, you will be absolutely shocked. For someone who's been trying again, you're most definitely sick of failing, because in of itself, the word try is evidence that you are already admitting that you're going to fail. So there are many layers of iterations of self through these experiences. First and foremost, by following a simple instruction like the one that I've given you, prep an hour before, get yourself into sort of a chemistry state. using tea and those other two supplements, magnesium and glycine. Again, this is not medical advice. Go and consult your doctor if you choose to. These are all elements that will prime you and set you up for a pop-off. And of course, by laying down, closing your eyes, and listening to this instruction, I will implement the vibratory effects will be almost instantaneous, because your excitement and your commitment to yourself is already elevated by listening to this information. So it will come to that point where you will synchronize. You have given yourself the ability to basically shut down unnecessary stimulus. And by doing that, the mind becomes very, very, very much a playground for experience, because you are not separated as mind, body, spirit. Your mind is actualized from first person to third person to no person, and now you are all things. So the spirit will take complete imperium dominion, maestro over this experience. And that's where you're going to freak out, because it starts with the vibratory effect, and the respiration is the key. Let's get back to that.
And sorry, I interrupted you. The incantation.
Yes.
You were going to do the incantation.
So the breathing, you start with the effects. You prime yourself an hour before you're going to go to sleep. You take 30 minutes before, glycine, magnesium, chamomile tea. You get yourself set up. Then you lay down. Autonomously, you are instantly evoking the relaxation. So you're taking many levels of prep. The prep of the light, which stimulates the uptick of specific chemistry. By turning the light out, you shut these things down. And now through this alchemical process, by laying down in a supine state, you will automatically dissolve unnecessary tension, right? So now you are there.
Are your eyes open or closed?
Well, for a seasoned professional like myself, I'm open, right? And you will get to that state where you can do exactly what I'm speaking of, and you'll freak out because you instantly access information. You do not have to leave your body in a term that is, oh my goodness, I have to shut the body down to evoke this state. So you're laying down, eyes closed. Now the breathing, right? You're prepped with the light. You've prepped with the supplements, the tea. You're primed. Now through the breathing, just breathe in and out. I would say do a cycle of about 30, just in and out. Now you can do the mouth open or closed. Quite frankly, you're going to feel the vacuum effect of the primordial state with the mouth open. You'll feel it pulling on the lungs. You feel it pulling on the tapestry of the kinetic potential, the energy. You're going to be like, holy moly! It's like I'm feeling this gathering of energy, and that's really where people that have had sleep apnea or sleep paralysis, this is how it was evoked. It wasn't normally, with an NDE, you have a dramatic shock to the body system that evokes the spirit to leave as the neurological effects start to downplay and regulate. It's like being slapped across the face. You snap right out of what you're in and you go into a different state altogether. This is the effects, the jump start of an NDE. So when you're doing this, you shuttle the system down. Let's go through it. You do the supplements, you do the hour before, turn off electronic devices, do the supplements, lay down, close your eyes, start the breathing. A cycle of, I would say collectively 36 cycles. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. As you continue to do this, you will start to recognize by the 36th cycle that the body is getting a rumbling effect. This is just a natural course. You are evoking this. This is part of the system, right? So the body will start to rumble. You'll see traits of it. It may start in your foot. It may start in your lower back. It may start in your hands. But you'll get also rushes of chills through the body, which will freak you out. Mm-hmm. But this is what you signed up for. Mm-hmm. Now, like anything, reps in the gym, driving your car, breathing, sleeping, walking. These are autonomous processes that happen naturally without your attention, without your participation. Remember this. So remember that you have complete control over the operating system. By engaging in this information, you are instantly priming yourself and setting yourself up for this such experience. And when you start to breathe and you're feeling the traits by the 36th breath, the body will start to rumble. You'll start to see involuntary twitches and elevated states within the body. That at that point, you on your 36th breath, as you exhale, you are to hold. Now, when you hold that, you're going to start to see a more violent sort of rumbling in the body. And this is part of the effects that take place. Now, the second this happens, and the body will start to shake, and it will feel like you are going to pop off, like off to, inner space. This is where your invocation is so key. I am now prepared to leave my body and enter into the consciousness. And by saying this, you are putting yourself in a place where there are no limitations. Now, when it first happens, the effect will be quite simple. You will feel like you're the more anticipation or fear, you will be apprehensive. So the rumbling will take place, and you'll start to visually see the exiting of yourself, like double vision. So you're like feeling this rumbling effect, and the double vision will seem like you are attempting to step outside of your body. Like there's a double version of yourself. When you look at, you'll be like, oh my goodness, I'm feeling my body leaving my body. And so the key is to relax more into it, and it will literally happen almost instantaneously, where you'll pop out and you'll be able to experience the surroundings, and furthermore, the body itself will be completely relaxed as if it hasn't moved, and you'll look at it going, I'm asleep, but I'm awake. I'm actually outside of the physical body. And that's where, this whole theory, or people keep saying that, well, and then my magnetism in my heart pulled my spirit back into my body. Sorry. This is where you have already primed yourself. By listening to this conversation, I've already evoked what is necessary for you to continue on that journey. So the second you witness that, you then move to float outside of the room. And of course, with this instruction, you will float outside of the room, instantly float outside of the room. So as you're floating back, and your body, your now third person body, well, actually, you're having the third person experience. As you meet what would seem to be a construct like the ceiling, you will literally melt through the ceiling and go out into the open space, the sky. And then you'll continue from the sky, and you'll continue floating, or wherever your intention takes you, you will start to now merge into what is really limitless possibility. And so this is a phenomena what we call first person, third person, no person. So first and foremost, you must recognize that from the first person, you're laying there like this. As you feel the third person being evoked, you will recognize that you are having an experience where your body's leaving your body. And it's freaky, but it's exciting. If you're listening to this, you want this to happen. So now a double version of yourself exits your body. Crazy shit. Like the vibratory effects evokes the spirit. Now you're exiting the body. You will recognize that you are now into a no person experience. Well, a fraction of no person. You go from first to third, and then you're now witnessing your body on the bed, or wherever it is. Now, these are all, baby steps in your own garnering of your experience. This is sort of a functional sort of way to validate that you are having this experience by going through these phases. And when you experience that, then you can go straight to no person within the same phase. From first to third to no person at will, your limitation is you. So once that's exited, all bets are off. First, of course, people want to crawl before they walk, and they tend to want to control the circumstance instead of recognize that their limitation is limitless and they can go anywhere they choose to, which turns into the no person experience. But there's a phase of awareness, and it will become 8K vivid and palpable. And so this state of awareness is conditioned. So when you have this experience, realize that now it's repeatable. Now you need to get into conditioning, and we can start to get into that. There are different methods that go into that conditioning, but the breathing is always the gateway. And when you pause that breath on the 36th cycle is when the evoking of that erupting will take place. The more you hold it, you'll start to realize, holy crap, my whole body's going to pop off. I'm about to go into outer space, or feel as though you're having some type of epilepsy sort of experience. Again, not medical advice. Go and get your own. This is just for entertainment purposes, but if you want to be entertained, you're about to get entertained, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I think that's so amazing because people do get conditioned into kind of staying within that third person because they hear so many other people's experiences. But it's like, if I'm out of my body, am I looking at my hands as if they're hands, or am I just a tree? I'm feeling the essence of a tree, the river, the ocean, the whole thing. It all kind of dissolves within that aspect very quickly.
Well, yeah. I mean, you literally bounce from first person to third person to first person to no person. There's really actually, because you will literally be out of your body. You'll see your body asleep, yet you can still see your
still
regular
a body. You're still a body.
You see your regular body is like, whoa. And so the upgrade from the first person to third person to first person to no person is next level of conditioning, because then you will bleed. And I be very clear, this is limited by you and you only. What's possible is anything.
Right.
That means that once you exit this, you'll literally freak out, because the next level from first to third to first to no is nothing more than what I want to experience next. And it's limited by nothing. Nada. And so when I'm doing this like I am right now talking to you, it is a conditioning where I can access source information, and these are more repeatable cultivational practices that we've been using for thousands of years. And furthermore, I will be releasing an actual module so that you can really get yourself grooved in. It's like anything. If you've ever exercised or you've ever done anything to acquire a state of mastery, it might be writing poems, it might be exercising, it might be doing your job. Like, you want to be the best person at whatever it is that you do, you repeat it until you become mastered. Most commonly, a universal thing be like riding a bike.
Yeah.
And the more you ride the bike, all of a sudden you realize that you don't need the training wheels anymore. Exactly the same consensus. Yet most people want to make it out to be something more. And the more you create complexity where you have to merge all these things together, you become more and more separated. It's like the undulating flame that you keep reaching for.
Right.
So for all those people that are looking for this experience, follow that instruction and you will acquire it, not for the first time, but repeatable times. And then if you want more conditioning and get an actual module where you do this exercise and you really ingrain it into your operating system, I have a module that I'll be releasing called Shen Gong, which is spirit power.
Right.
And it's deliberate in its conditioning for this processes. Now, it pops off into so many different things that you can get out of once you recognize you can do this.
Right. It makes me think of like when you watch basketball players like shoot free throws, they just shoot it so many times that it's muscle memory. They could be blindfolded and stand there and they're just
Right.
they've conditioned it that it becomes autonomous, just like walking, breathing, driving, all these other things where and this turns into that as well. When you condition yourself over and over again, it becomes autonomous, it becomes mastered, and you're not sitting there thinking, okay, am I on my 34th breath or my 33rd breath? How long do I have to hold it for? And now what? And you're in your head about it.
And it slipstreams real fast.
Right.
You're going to be like in your experience in a matter of seconds, and you're going to be holding that node of power. And recognize once you get into this state, you literally think it and it becomes realized.
Right.
And so what the mastering of the alchemy for a Taoist is to take this and apply it within the material world. And so many people start off their journey with these out-of-body experiences, but they don't recognize that their one-off experience they can't replicate is a repeatable experiential moment that can be done at will, but you must condition yourself to it, and then all of a sudden anything is possible. Anything. So this leads you into other streams, you know, clairvoyance, mediumship, channeling, physical healing, all the charge you get, baby.
Yeah.
Because this is just the beginning of something great. And it doesn't have to be limited by any type of indoctrinated state where you have to be religious. All this stuff is about acquiring the resonance. So understanding that the energy potential, the two superpowers is taking your attention and intention, melding them together, and this is where we call this evoking the spirit, evoking what we call Shengong spirit power with your attention and intention is met. This way you merge electric potential. The magnetism is a stream of consciousness. For us, metaphysics of Tao, you are magnetic, you are eternal, you are immortal. So what happens here is through this conditioning process, you're able to liberate the spirit from the simulation, what you consider the mundane reality, liberate the spirit from the physical body, and then you can operate at will in any way you choose to. And the limit of what you can do is up to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think once you have that first experience and you realize, wow, oh my God, this is real. I felt it. I have it. It sparks this excitement to want to go do more of it and to keep with the conditioning and the learning of, okay, now I can transition this into, I want to hear stuff now. Now I want to feel stuff. Now I want to affect someone or something in a different place completely.
Yeah. And it's not a trial and error, ladies and gentlemen. This is where people get all hung up on it. You must start with the real basics, and one of the first basic effects is that vibratory state.
Right.
And you will acquire it through this. So in conclusion to this conversation, let's make it very clear. You want to actualize yourself through this ancient practice. You follow the instruction. You use the prep. And when you invoke it, you are literally, with your mind, you can then go straight to the next level. There's no limit. So you can speak it before, during, and presently while you're having it, dictating how you want it. But if you think it will just become realized. So the starting phase, you use the prep, you get there, you use the breath, which is key, and all of a sudden, your respiration will be from consciousness, not the physical body. And that's where you get super excited. And that pause at the end is really critical. And the longer you hold that pause, the more cumulative the vibratory effect will come. And it will be mind-blowing for 100% of people because they can't imagine that could come that quickly. Yes, that's the purpose of this video, is to liberate you. Now, conditioning, what happens is most people get so excited, or what you want to do is you want to take that. Understand, psychics, medium channelers, they're all doing this at will. They're doing this constantly. It's like that's exactly what they're doing consciously as they give you a reading, as they use their mediumship, as they channel information from source. The monologue from the dialogue is this conditioned state. It's just a phased variable that may not be as dramatic as what you're looking for. That's why people want to start with evoking it, so they pop their spirit out and they're able to witness. It's like, hang on a second, I thought I was going to be, Christ consciousness or rainbows or whatever. There's phases of awareness that come from that. The baby steps is first person, third person, first person, no person.
Yeah.
That's where you get key, right? So don't be surprised when you're out and you're like, I can still see my physical body, because it's an awareness that transcends as you continue to consume and absorb that vibration, and you're able to hold that vibration. The vibration and the frequency is held as a resonance. When you're able to replicate it, it becomes easier and easier. So something that initially starts the way we're speaking of can, as for me, having done this for over 45 years, I do it instantaneously. It takes no transition. There is no transition. It's now. And so when I want to meet that within a group environment, I increase my resonance, and then I am able to embody that and emulate it. And the amplification is a universal state. When I'm in a group environment, I just connect everyone together, and you're all experiencing that. This is how I do past life readings. This is how I do, I channel Latsu. This is how I teach people clairvoyance, mediumship, physical healing. Magic is absolutely predicated on this understanding and conditioning for you to be able to alter the material at will.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
And this is exciting. So follow that instruction. You start with the prep, take about an hour before you go to bed, turn off all electrical devices, do the prep with the glycine, magnesium, chamomile tea. This will set you up. Then lay down, close your eyes, and start the respiration. And it will be a pop-off moment for you, because you're going to be, holy crap, the more I do, the more I stay committed to the breathing, the faster my body is showing the physicality, the visceral, somatic response of that. And then when you pause it, that's when things get really exciting, because now that vibratory effect that may have started in your hands or your stomach or your feet, it becomes a full body, full-blown arousal. Oh, yeah, baby. And so you follow those phases, and you will go from first to third to first to no, and it will be limited by you. And this is part of your mastery, which is what we call sensory perception. So I want to thank you guys for our little conversation. I wanted to demystify some of the things that are taking place that are limiting you. You're listening to this conversation because you want insight. I've given it to you. If you want further conditioning or training, look for the training system in this channel. You can find it in the show notes. You can go to our website, immortaldaoistwrites.com or theway126.com. And I'm excited for you to get on your journey and get down with the get down and do what you do, which is you, at will. And there are no limitations, my friend. You are abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite. You are the master, keeper, creator of your reality. And let's get it on.
Amazing.
So until next time, my dear friends, my divine co-hostess, High Priestess Jade, thank you so much.
Thank you
for everything that you do. And I am your humble servant and seafood Taoist Master San Qing. I'll see you in the next one, guys.